Hey everyone, I'm Faisal Ali for All Things Mobile, and today I've got the full review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. So let's get started. We're going to take a quick look around the device first. We find the 5.5-inch display, which is a resolution of 1280 by 720. You got the home button, as well as your two soft keys, the menu in the back. On the left-hand side, you've got the volume rocker with no distinction between the two buttons. But you get used to it after a while, so it's not too bad. At the top, you've got the 3.5mm headset jack, as well as that second microphone there. It's for noise cancellation. On the back, Samsung logo. You've got an 8-megapixel camera with autofocus, flash, and it records in 1080p HD video. On the front, you also have all your ambient light sensors and a LED right here. And on the right-hand side, you get the one power button. On the bottom, you get the USB port. Your primary microphone is right there. Just got to focus here. And it seems like, there we go. Primary microphone, USB, micro USB actually, and S Pen. And if we pry the back open, you'll find that we see that there's the NFC antenna, which connects right here, as well as a place for your micro SD card and micro SIM. On the front, we also have a 2-megapixel front-facing camera, which I believe records in 720p HD, as well as a 3100 milliamp hour battery, and we'll get to that in a minute. So, first, let's talk about call quality, since this is obviously a phone. Now, I found that the call quality of this device is actually rather good. No drop calls, and you guys can see that we are using the TELUS version of the Galaxy Note 2. So call quality is good, no drops calls. Haven't really had any problems on the calling side of things. So if you're worried about that, put the fears to rest. The call quality is pretty good on this device. Can't really complain there. Next up, we're going to take a look at the messaging. We're going to go to the messaging, and this is really just to take a look at the keyboard. So we can take a look at the keyboard here. It's kind of like the default Samsung keyboard, so it's pretty well spaced out, and you've got a 5.5-inch screen, so it's a pretty big screen. So we're going to type in a little quick message. Okay, so I had a couple errors here, and that's what I've noticed with this device. For some reason, the Samsung Galaxy Note, the original one, with the 5.3-inch display, had, I don't know what it is, I'm not sure if the keyboard was any better or what, but for some reason I could type quite a bit better on that than I could on this. And in landscape mode, you guys can see here, if I try to test again, a little bit slower this time, the quick. So again, a couple errors. So keyboard, you can obviously go to the Android market and get some third-party ones, but I'm not really liking the default keyboard, so that's one kind of knock I have on the device. The keyboard, for some reason, doesn't feel as good as the keyboard on the original Galaxy Note. Moving on, we're running a 1.6 GHz processor here. It's the Samsung Exynos processor. We're running 2 gigs of RAM as well, 16 gigabytes of built-in storage, but that's also expandable with micro SD. And just to show you guys, we are running Android 4.1.2. So we are running Jelly Bean, and I gotta say that from previous Android devices I've tested, Jelly Bean really does what it says. It works a lot faster. It has very few times where you get that lag. So kudos for Google to working on that, and that's just great, because the one thing that used to plague Android devices was this random lag. But now, you know, no lag. We can also put in like the YouTube widget, which is pretty intensive. Where is it? YouTube widget. Oh, there we go, YouTube. Let's move it over to, yeah, let's open up the YouTube widget and let's put that on the screen. There we go. So you guys can see that widgets are all here as typical, so it's an Android device. Obviously those are there. So you guys can see that, yeah, it works very smoothly. So Project Butter really helps out there and works well. The other thing I wanted to mention is about the browser. So you've got two options for the browser front. There are rather many, but two kind of good options, if I will. So this is the internet browser. So this is just kind of the regular stock Samsung browser. We'll go to our website from here. And you guys can see that it works well. It's a good browser. It loads pages fast. We're doing this over Wi-Fi, but yeah, so it loads pages really quickly. We'll go into this real quick. And as you guys can see, it just works. Now your other option, option I would suggest personally, is the Google Chrome browser. And that can be found, you can download that, and that looks like this. Okay, so this browser, I personally prefer using the Chrome browser on Android. For me, it just renders things a little bit better on some websites, as well as it tends to be a little bit quicker in terms of scrolling speed and things like that. So if you go into the same link, you guys can see that it's not significantly faster by any means, but you know it is a little bit faster, and you can also go into landscape mode as well. So there's that. Now let's quickly head over to the apps and see what apps are here. So preloaded apps are all your usual app. You've also got some interesting apps like Dropbox loaded up, and some of Samsung's proprietary stuff like Game Hub. So you've got that. You've also got Learning Hub and other Samsung S apps, as I like to call them, the S Note, S Planner, and S Suggest, S Voice as well. And also you got Polaris Office 4.0 loaded on there too. And these random self-serve apps, Simpatico, self-serve, these are all carrier controlled, so depending on whatever SIM you have in the device, those apps are going to show up as well. So if you had a Rogers SIM in here, you'll probably get those My Rogers apps, like Rogers My Account, for example. But since we're on Telus here, we do get those Telus apps. The other thing I wanted to quickly talk about is Google Play itself. So we're going to head into the Play Store, and you guys all probably know this by now. It's a massive library of apps, games, videos, movies, and it's great, really. If you're not fond of iOS, Android is probably the best alternative if you're looking for a lot of applications, and if you want your applications to be, if you want to keep using the same applications, chances are they're supported on Android as well. So that's great. And again, if you haven't seen this, here's an app, here's some screenshots of the app. And the 1.6 GHz processor, blazing fast in this device. It works very well. You have the description, you can rate it, you can see what's new in the latest update. Here's some reviews, and here's kind of how the app is doing, and that's the average. You can install it and also check some users, what the users also downloaded and viewed. And the last thing you can do is also share with whatever services that are available to share and search. So that's just a quick rundown of Google Play. Now, this device also has something called the S Pen, and you guys are familiar with this from the Galaxy Note, the original one. So it's this thing down here. It's a stylus. Comes out. It's what I like to call as a smart stylus, because you've got some added functionality. You guys can see that there's the iconic button there. If I can get that to focus. No, okay, it doesn't want to focus today. So yeah, so there's a button there, and you can do a whole bunch of things. And as you guys can see, it prompted me to actually have a new panel called S Pen. As well as if you pull down the notification bar, it'll show you the recommended apps, recommended shortcuts for S Pen. So we'll just go to Note. And again, as usual, you can really, you can just type out, or rather write a note. This is a test note on the GN2, so Galaxy Note 2. And you can close out of that if you want to. You can also, there's additional functionality with the S Pen. So if I were to press the button and hold, let's go somewhere interesting like internet. Let's press the button and hold. You guys can see that it takes a screenshot, and I can go save that screenshot and it saves. So that's the S Pen. You can do a whole bunch of cool things with it as well. Let's put that away. And you guys can see that as soon as I put the S Pen away, that disappears. So that's pretty cool. Let's take a look at, yeah, so what else do we have to talk about here? The cameras, yes, the cameras are great on this device. Front one is 2 megapixels, and then you've got the HD recording as well. And the back one, the one on the rear right here, is 8 megapixels, autofocus flash. And I've noticed the cameras take really, the photos they take are really quick. There's a very small amount of time between the time it takes to take a photo and the time it actually saves. So we've got the box here. Oops, sorry, we're in recording mode. Let's turn that off. Let's go back to camera mode. So every time that clicks, that's a photo being taken. And you guys can see that click. You guys can see the library here. All those photos are taken, and yeah, that's a lot of photos that we just took. So response time is great. I'm noticing that the photos look good as well. You know, low lighting conditions is kind of what hurts it the most, but I think that's true with a lot of mobile phone cameras, that low light conditions aren't the best suit for them. But I do like the colors and the color reproduction, as well as the photo quality that it takes in adequate lighting. So if you're in a good lighting situation, the cameras are going to do quite well. It's just low lighting that you got to worry about. And we're going to also have an HD video sample up as well as part of this review. And we will put that in another video, but we will link it in the description. HD video recording is pretty good. It records at 1920 by 1080, so it's full 1080p resolution. And I believe it's 30 frames per second, so it records it quite smoothly. So final thoughts, conclusions. Now, I'm not a big fan of large phones per se. For me, I wouldn't carry the Galaxy Note just on the basis that the screen is too big for my uses, and yeah, it's just kind of for me, it's kind of a pain to lug this around. But there's a lot of people who do like this form factor, and I can see this form factor become incredibly useful because you've got things like multi-window mode. So if I open up multi-window mode, if I activate that through here, yep, and then if I if I activate it, and let's say I open up messaging and I want to open up Chrome, maybe it's Chrome, I can actually have both applications open, so I can be literally typing a message to someone but at the same time browsing the web on Chrome. So that becomes pretty handy at times. So that's one feature I like that having a larger display makes sense for. But personally, I think it's a great device. Would I personally carry it? No, just because the screen's too large, but there are people who do like the screen size. And again, this device would be great for them. The battery life hasn't been the greatest personally. I've heard many great things about battery life, except on, I don't know if it's just this unit or not, but you know, it makes it through a full day. It makes it throughout the day, but by the end of the day, it's pretty low on power, so you gotta kind of charge it every night. A lot of people are saying that they can go 2-3 days without charging the Galaxy Note 2, and for me, I couldn't make it 2-3 days without charging it. At most a day, and probably a little bit under a half, so about a day and a half. But that's with the regular usage, also using data services and such. But overall, it's a good device, and if you're into the large screen size Android devices, this is one to get. It's got a great processor, a lot of great games are on it as well. But also got 2 gigabytes of RAM on board for smooth performance, and you also have great cameras. You've got 2 pretty good cameras there for video conferencing as well as taking photos and videos. And you've also got Android 4.1.2 Jelly Bean out of the box. So I'm Faisal Ali for all things mobile. I'll see you guys in the next video.